And tonight, our colleagues at Radio-Canada's Enquête are airing a report on how many jobs the Plan Nord is really providing for Innu communities. Anne Panisuk is a reporter for Enquête, and she joins me in studio. Good afternoon, Anne.
Good afternoon.
So you traveled to northern communities. What did you find?
We traveled to the end of the road to Natashquan. It's 1,300 kilometers, from Montreal. And we found we were in contact mostly with two Innu community, Natashquan and Washat Maliotenam, which is near Sept-Îles. And we found some community very divided and lacking of information. Important lack of information of all kind. There are no public information, no public hearings or no public meetings from their band council. And they have no information about the agreements their own leaders are signing with the companies or even sometimes with the government. You know that the Innu, because of the Plan Nord, the Innu since they're the natives, they have some mutual agreements or some private contracts with the government or with Hydro-Québec in order for them to share some of the profits of the benefits of the Plan Nord and to put them at work as well. And like, for example, for the extension of the road, the only road you have on the North Shore, it's a $70,000 million of mutual agreement given to the Innus. It's the same thing for the clearing of the basin of the dam, the hydroelectric dam at La Romaine. It's more than $30 million given to the Innu as a contract. But since they don't have the know-how, they don't have the equipment, they're having partnership with some enterprises from the south of the country or even out of the province. On the paper, the Innus are the major shareholders, but on the field, you can expect that the company or the enterprise who do have the equipment and the money and the know-how are the ones deciding for everything. So the question is not so much how many jobs, it's also how much of the money is coming back to the communities. This is very large amount of public money given to the Innus. Is it going to the Innus really? Or is it mostly going in the pockets of the partnership or the enterprise or in partnership with the Innus, with the natives?
Now, are these questions that you found answers to? First of all, what do the work sites look like? Are there people that appear to be actually working and benefiting from the immediate
like in Natashquan,
jobs?
They were saying that in Natashquan for 30 million contract of clearing, they had less than 20 people working. And you should
out of how many?
You should know that one out of two adult is not working in Natashquan. So it's not much work when you're talking less than 20 people working.
Also, that doesn't seem particularly specialized work if they're clearing trees. Is that my understanding?
Right. It's not special work. It's the same thing for the road. Well, you're not expecting them to be engineer, but they should be working a little bit more. They're saying, and we put our nose into the contracts to understand where the money is going. But the agreements are secret. So there's complicated financial structures, unclear partnership agreements, and it's not easy to know where the money is going.
Yeah. Layer upon layer.
Right. And for example, in Natashquan, there's a new chief elected this summer, and he wanted to know how much money came back to the community. He doesn't know. He doesn't even know as a chief because he doesn't have the balance sheet of the companies who have been formed under the band council. The band council is supposed to be the head of those partnership, and he, as a chief, is not receiving the balance sheet. He had to hire a lawyer to know how much money came back from that big contract of $30 million. And are you surprised to know that there's no money who came back yet?
Wow.
Zero.
No money.
No money came back yet.
So it's interesting, too, because you mentioned earlier that the Innu are unhappy with the community leaders, but it sounds like the community leaders maybe don't have as much control as the community thinks they do.
Do they have control? Good question. I think some of the band council, they're really working hard to have more money for the health services and education services, which are not well founded. But They're accepting some agreements. And funny to say also in Washat Maliotenam and Innus are French-speaking, second language is French. The agreements are written in English. And some of the leaders didn't even read those agreements.
Yeah,
and
let
they
alone
can't
understand
read
the fine print.
Right. And you can see there's an agreement with Dexter, which is a company from out of the province, from Nova Scotia. And the contract is really saying that 7% 7.5% of the gross revenue is going to the Innus, and the rest, 92.5%, is going to the company, Dexter.
Did you speak to any of the companies involved? Did you get a response?
Some of them. Some don't want to speak to me, that's for sure. Dexter told me that they will hire some Innus, but they can't say how many. And that's one of the problems. There's no minimal number of people who are going to be hired. It's not written, how many are going to be hired. So many of them are expecting to work. Many of the Innus are expecting to work, and they are not working. Right, and the money is not going back in the communities. That's the sad part. And they don't have information. And they're very angry about their own leaders.
All right. Well, listeners who are interested will find more on your program. It is airing tonight.
Tonight at 9 p.m.
Our colleagues at Radio-Canada on Enquête. Really, you have to watch Enquête if you want to know what's going on in Quebec these days. They've been uncovering all kinds of things. And tonight, Anne Panasak's report on the Plan Nord will be aired. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that is Anne Panasak. She was my guest in studio.